Hey guys, my name is Anukakar and you are watching WM Studio. Now let's look at to this setup that we are going to create. So for this, first we have to create the sparks. For that, what I can do is I'll just take one circle and I'll just add some points to the circle by using the sample node, as you can see. After that, I'll just take a transform node and put a little bit up to the center. After that, what I can do is I'll just take a polygram node to compute the normals along the circle. Okay, so now in the tangent name I'll just put n and I turn off this. After that, what I did is I'll just take a carve node to animate that. So I'll just keyframe that. As you can see, now it's rotating like this. Yeah, using this value, first two value, and after that I'll just sweep this out to just convert into a tube, as you can see. After that, what I do is I'll just take a reverse node to reverse the faces. Now I can get like this. So now after this, I'll just give a noise to this, and you can see noise is continuously animating like this. So now what I did is I'll just transfer the normals from this polyframe to this instrument, and I'll just convert that normals into velocity using from attribute, and then I'll just select normals. Now you can see this is the velocity and how the particles will move according to this velocity. Now I'll just take a out node and I'll just take a pop network, and inside this pop network all the simulation is going on. Okay, so now let's see the simulation how it's going on. So if I just go inside the pop network and if we just play the simulation, as you can see, all the particles are revolving around the circle. That's what we want. Okay, so here in pop source itself, you have to do nothing like scatter from services are just on, and in the bus tab, what you can do is in the life experience, you will just put to 1 and life variance to 0.5, nothing else. If you want to increase the velocity, you can increase via here. In the pop force itself, I'll just give a little amplitude and soul sides. That's it. And if you want fast motion, you can reduce the pulse length as well according to your choice. Nothing else we have to do right over here. I'll just create a ground plane so that it will collide onto the ground as well. Now if I go outside, I'll just take a top network and took the simulation out from the top network right over here, as you can see. Now after that, what I'll do is I'll just take a trail node to add some trails. So what it does is it creates a trail from the existing point. Okay. So I'll just take this and you can increase the trail length from here as much as you want. But I'll just take a default, as you can see, and I'll just take a add node to add the points to connect the points. We'll just use add node and we'll connect the points on the basis of ID that we have. So you have to go to polygons by group by attribute and just type ID right over here. Now after that, I'll just resample the points, as you can see, and I'll just give a color to the points on the basis of curve. Just remember that after resample there is a curve attribute that you have to turn it on. Now what I did is I'll take a mountain node to give some noise. As you can see, if I just disable this, the lines are straight. Now it's little bit of noisy lines are there. Now after that, I'll just create a width attribute so that I want how much width the particular line has. Okay, so I'll just create a width attribute and I'll just give a value of 0.005. Now I'll just take an attribute triangle node. I also give a curve width, like you can give ramp to the width on the basis of curve attribute. Now there is a null node and this null output will goes into our lob network. We'll proceed that further. So now let's see what we can do to generate the spheres that are throwing out from this portal. So now our portal is working like that, as you can see. So now our first effect is created very easily. Now you can see the portal is start working and it's working very nice. And you can see the collision is also going on very properly. So now let's move to the sphere emission from inside the portal. Okay. So for that, what I do is I'll just take a sphere. I'll just take a reference copy of this as well. You can just resample this out, just transform this out. Either you can just take the sample copy of that also. So now I'll just scatter some points. As you can see, I just take only 2 points. and there's a random seed I should add on the basis of frame divided by 10. So basically, if you divide by a bigger value, then the speed will be slow. If you divide by, or if you multiply by some value, the speed will be fast. So I took this value. Now the particle will change at each and every frame, as you can see here clearly. Now, after that, what I can do is I'll just take a p scale attribute and give a random p scale to each and every particle. Now I'll just give a random orient as well. So I want each and every connected sphere or kind of a metal object will rotate randomly to each and every point. Okay, so I'll just give a random orientation as well. Just make sure that the dimensions will be 4 as well, and you can set the scale using this ramp or any other method that you want to use. Okay, and after that, basically angular velocity as well, which is W. You can just set it right over here, and this is the copy to points. So this is my object. As you can see, there are a lot of polygons. Like if we can render this directly inside Solaris, because it's a single, then it will work because there are a lot of spheres to throw, so it become heavy and maybe crash. So we'll have a trick. Let's move forward and see how we can do that. So I'll just do a match size node to set this at the center of the grid. And after that, I'll just remove the unknown and useless stuff and just copy this to our points. Now you can see right over our spheres are moving right over here. And these all are pack primitives because we'll just do pack and instance. Now after that, I'll just give a random velocity so that it will push the words outward. Okay, so now if you see the velocity, it will look like this. So yeah, it's going like this. So now what I do is I'll just take a switch node. Okay, so I want, you can see here, after every 12th frame, I want a pause and the particles should come. Like you can see here, clear gap, no particle, start. After I'm done, no particle, start. Okay, so this is what I want. Now there's a bullet solver that I use for this simulation. So let's move to the setup now. In the setup, as you can see, there is a emit RBTs. So I'll just check this box up and do nothing else. Now, what I want is everything will be enabled by default. You don't have to do anything in the collision tab. So just put the ground plane and just give the friction value 10 so that it will not slide much. Okay. So I'll just give a friction value like this. And after that, in the forces tab, I'll just if you want how much particles should spin, you just give the value of goal spin speed to 360 or whatever you want, so that the each object has some spin inside it. Okay. So now after that, I'll just do the cache, and the cache output will look like this. You can see the spheres are emitting continuously as in so much bulk. Okay. So now, as you can see, this is so many spheres and there is so much mesh if I unpack this. Okay, so I don't want to unpack this. So now you can see like there is one point which is a pack primitive for each sphere. Okay, which is quite handy and it's quite easy to work with that to render that. Otherwise, the same becomes quite heavy and system will crash. Okay. So now what I did is this is the attribute triangle. This is the game changer. Okay. So I'll just do a premise. I just use a premise instantic function to just store the XOM values of the simulation. Okay, so every point has their own XOM value, like the rotation, scale, transform value. So I'll just store that here. I'll just store this information. So you don't need to use and write each and every code. I'll just provide you the basic asset for this so that you can use that. Now, if you can see, if I just put the add node right over here, you can see like we'll getting these points only. Okay, so we are getting these points at the end. So now what we can do is we want to copy each and every primitive that I have. Like we have to copy this entire what do you call a sphere. We will just copy that onto the particles. not over here using copy to point because it becomes quite heavy. And if I do the simulation via unpack geometry so that the textures will come, the system will crash. Okay, so what we can do is we'll just extract the transform values via points, and onto these points we'll just copy these spheres inside the lobes. Okay, so here is our lobe network. So I'll just go inside the lobe network. Yeah, wow, you can see the textures are there. So this is my geometry, as you can see first. So as you can see, this is the unpacked geometry that I take it from where? That I take it from here. So this is my unpacked geometry. Okay, so if I go inside this, so this is my unpacked geometry. This is the material that I given, as you can see, and these materials are created by myself inside Karma. So if you want the Karma crash course, just let me know. I'll just launch that course for you as well. So now this is the node called instance. So what it does is it just instances the geometry onto the points, and the points have that transform value as well, like xform value as well. So these geometry will rotate and take that xform values and rotate like an original geometry. So if the instance node, if I go to the properties, they are asking for target points. So these are my target points. As you can see, these are my target points. This is the pack properties, as you can see. So these are my points. So I'll just take these points and took it inside my lobe network. So this is my target points, and these are my prototype geometry that I want to paste. Okay. So I'll just assign this target points first into the target point in the instancer node, and there is a point attribute to copy. So now if you can see here, our point have these attributes like proto index, transform attribute, w attribute, which is an angular velocity attribute. I'll just copy all the attributes. Now I'll, when I press this node, as you can see here, we'll get our geometry back. Everything is running smooth and fine for me, no laggy, nothing, and everything got instanced properly, as you can see. Now, this is a basic transform that I did, like so that it will align with the ground. I just saw a little gap between my ground and the sphere, so I'll just use this basic post transform. As you can want, you can also remove that. This is the basic thing. Okay, so now there is a scene import camera. So basically from this, I'll just import the camera from my object level. Now after importing the camera, now our camera is also coming, so you can see the geometry from our camera, how it looks. Now this is the point instancing that we did. So now as you can see, this is our grid. If I visualize this, you can see the grid is right over here. So if I go inside this, you can see so create. I'll just create my own grid, give a color giver and attribute raw. So if you can visualize this, so I have put this noise, so later I use this noise to play with the materials. Okay, so this is the noise and this is my material that I assigned to this grid. Okay, so I just put the distance light. I'll just go to the camera first, and you can see it will look like this. I'll just create another area light so that it will look more enhanceable, and this is our render out. So if I just go the basic rendering Curve XPU, and it will look like this. You can see here the geometry will look like this. Now in the main core part, I want to take a look. Like you can see the ground is little kind of oily, kind of like sticky oily kind of feel you have to give, like somewhere the metalness is high, somewhere the roughness is low. So this all becomes possible due to the pass I just created, like this noise I created, and I'll use this noise inside the material library and set up the material using this. Okay, so we'll discuss this later. You just let me know, like if you want the Karma material shading tutorial, I'll just provide you that as well. Similarly, this thing. So this is what we call sparks. So I'll just also call the sparks using soap import. So I'll just go back, and if you can see here, This is my spark. So I'll just call that inside soap lobs using this soap import, as you can see. And inside the geometry handling settings, import data settings, basically you just turn on this. If you want any extra color that you have to call from the soap level, so you just import the attributes from here. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll just turn off because I don't import anything. I want to create everything by myself using this shader. Okay. So this is the mini and basic tutorial. I hope you like that. And if you have any doubts, just let me know. We'll try and figure this out. I want to show one more thing as a suggestion. Like if somebody wants the in depth tutorial of this karma thing, also like how these things will work, like how we can assign the shaders, how we can assign the materials. So just pin this out. So I'll just create a separate video for that.